Today we're going to be looking at the Babyzen Yoyo 2, which just dropped right out of the blue without the sort of high budget marketing campaign months before release that we've gotten used to from a lot of other top brands. We've already covered the Yoyo Plus many times in the past, and for that reason, this review is going to be structured a little bit differently than what we usually do, in that we're going to focus almost exclusively on what has changed with the model, rather than going over all the basics of what the Yoyo is again, its dimensions and seat size and proper use and all that, which really hasn't changed. For this reason, if you're entirely new to the Yoyo, we would suggest that in addition to this video, you also watch our review of the Yoyo Plus, which you can find by following the link in this video's description. Let's get started. Though there have been quite a few changes made with the shift from the Yoyo Plus to the Yoyo 2, I've got to say, they weren't the ones I was expecting. I've long considered the Yoyo design to be pretty perfect mechanically, but I'd hoped to see Babyzen incorporate a few of the larger comfort and functionality changes that have become somewhat uniform across the market, like adding an extendable canopy, a full recline, and adjustable leg rest, as well as re-engineering the handle with memory buttons for a one-hand fold. But with the Yoyo 2, they haven't addressed any of these industry standard type things, other than adding a leatherette handle, which, let's be honest, would have mattered a little more 5 years ago, and updating the safety harness even though there was nothing wrong with the previous version. So what have they changed then? Several things actually, most of them mechanical. To start with, they've made a variety of small structural changes to the joints and connection points in order to reinforce the chassis. We just got the model, so I haven't gotten a chance to inventory all of these changes sufficiently to point them out, but let's give Babyzen the benefit of the doubt and say that the Yoyo 2 has been reinforced in relation to the Yoyo Plus. Great. Why though? One of the big changes of the Yoyo Plus was also a reinforcing of the chassis, and yet both the Yoyo Plus and the original Yoyo are still going strong. I've been repairing strollers for nearly a decade, and I can tell you that in my experience, this reinforcing is not because there were any major weaknesses in the original structure. No, the reason it's been reinforced runs parallel to the increased suspension, which we'll get to in a moment. You see, according to Babyzen, the reinforced chassis supports an increased weight capacity in the seat, and this is a funny one in my opinion because it's a visibility thing. The only real reason for Babyzen to increase the weight capacity of the seat, as far as I see it, is so that they can write it up in the product description, so that first-time parents who don't know better don't wind up going for something else when they're choosing between models. Let me explain. The Yoyo Plus can hold 17 kilos in the seat, which according to standard child development is a 4.5-year-old. The Yoyo 2 can hold, weight-wise at least, a 7-year-old, just in case he or she feels lazy on their way to elementary school. Joking aside though, the Yoyo 2 or any other stroller, other than those made for special needs children, will of course not accommodate anywhere close to a 7-year-old, because regardless of weight capacity, the seat is just simply too small. And this is particularly true for ultra compacts, where seat size, not weight capacity, is always the most important limiting factor. They haven't increased the size of the seat, which would have been difficult to do of course, and still remain within the necessary folded dimensions. Size-wise, I would set the optimal age for using the Yoyo 2 at around 2.5, maybe 3, depending on the size of the child. An older child will fit, but it's a lie when they tell you that it'll be a comfortable fit, at least in comparison to larger models. Why is this important? Because Babyzen's new marketing strategy, as far as I can tell, is to try and sell the Yoyo 2 as a daily use model, as your primary stroller, the one you need, right? But I feel that this is misguided, and I'll explain after we go over another, much more obvious change with the Yoyo 2, the suspension. Unlike the reinforcing of the chassis, changes to the suspension on the Yoyo 2 are much more noticeable, and the Yoyo 2 now has basically double suspension both in the front and the back. In the front, in addition to reworking the fork suspension, there's now a bit more give in the connection point, such that it feels like they've added a spring-loaded pad rather than just the tight connection that they had previously. On the rear end, in addition to the slight rear frame suspension that they already had higher up on the frame, they've added an additional suspension mechanism just above the wheel mountings on either side. Is this a good thing? Mechanically, I'm not sure. The jury's still out. It feels sturdy enough, and as I said, I have a certain faith in Babyzen. But then again, the front end is a bit more noisy now right out of the box. And in the back, this change meant adding an extra connection point, and who knows how it will wear down over time. Maybe it'll be great. Maybe it'll have problems. What I do know is that there was nothing wrong with the suspension on the Yoyo Plus, or really the original Yoyo for that matter. This is an ultra-compact travel stroller, or so I thought. Its wheels are too small and its chassis is too lightweight to do any serious off-roading anyway. But you see, again, this is not how Babyzen wants you to see the Yoyo anymore. Online, they're now trying to push it as a daily use stroller capable of tackling rough terrain. In fact, just yesterday in the commentary section of another reviewer's video, a representative from Babyzen wrote, quote, "Yoyo 2 actually is an everyday stroller. Our stroller has redesigned and optimized suspensions. The stroller hugs all ground conditions, designed to offer more comfortable strolls, gentle and relaxing naps." Are you kidding me? This is the same thing they were trying to pull back when they launched the Yoyo Plus and suggested that it's a great idea to drag around a second child on a buggy board. as though this wouldn't in any way affect the yo-yo's mechanical integrity. Increased suspension is great, but there are other factors needed in order to produce a stroller capable of really handling rough terrain, like larger wheels and a larger, sturdier, and heavier chassis. Not all strollers are built to tolerate all types of terrain. Not all strollers are built to use daily for years with children of all ages. That's fine. Specialization is good. Even with the increased suspension, my suggestion with the Yoyo 2 is still to stick mainly to smooth urban environments. Regularly jumping and jittering this model over cobblestones and root-grown paths will not only mean an unpleasant driving experience, but will also cause the yo-yo to wear down at a much faster rate. Okay, so far none of these changes have actually really been negative. They've just seemed a bit unnecessary in my opinion. But there is one negative with the shift to Yoyo 2, the rain cover is no longer included with purchase. So what, you might say? You have to buy the rain cover separate with a lot of models. But I don't know, it bothers me. The Babyzen Yoyo was supposed to be above those other models. Including the rain cover as well as a travel bag, which is still there, was a mark of generosity. It was the mint on your pillow at a high-class hotel. To me, taking away the free rain cover removes a little bit of the hospitality that, so far, has gone along with their excellent engineering, and also adds a hidden cost to factor in when evaluating whether you should purchase the model. Thus, at the moment, I'd unfortunately say that the reinforced chassis and increased suspension are not significant enough changes on a model unlikely to make use of such improvements in the real world to warrant upgrading from the original Yoyo or Yoyo Plus if you already have them. And if you are rather looking to buy your first yo-yo, I'd also suggest considering whether that leatherette handle is really worth having to cough up $60 to buy the rain cover as an extra accessory, when the Yoyo Plus will probably be discounted by distributors worldwide in the coming months. My degree's not in finance, but I'd like to posit a little theory as to what happened here, and I sincerely apologize if I'm wrong. But this sudden stealth launch of the Yoyo 2 feels a little bit like a semi-desperate cash grab to show growth. You see, despite the fact that Babyzen has a single excellent product, their growth has undoubtedly slowed of late, since they're A, no longer in that initial phase where they had a new innovation and took the world by storm, and B, because of the plethora of new ultra-compact models coming out, especially in the last couple of years, that, even though really none of them do what the Yoyo does as well as the Yoyo does it, have still managed to steal a bit of Babyzen's pie. Again, I'm no financial expert, but after looking a little bit online, it seems that something definitely went down at Babyzen last year regarding capital restructuring, which, according to the website of Edmund de Rothschild Corporate Finance, involves some shareholders cashing out, other shareholders reinvesting, and current management as well as the Shadur family, who founded Babyzen, left as majority shareholders. Whatever happened, we wish them the best. We love Babyzen. And if showing growth is what they need, at least they still have a few things worth adding when it comes time to launch the Yoyo 3. In any case, we hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, we'd like to ask you to subscribe, as it helps us to make more videos in the future. Also, if any of you out there find our channel particularly useful and want to help out with the donation on Patreon, we would also really appreciate it. It will help us to grow faster, which means we'll be able to release a wider variety of models and reviews at a quicker rate. Thanks for watching.